Generate amazing AI images and videos at a fraction of the cost. And the best part is going to be absolutely amazing regardless of your computer. In today's video, I'm going to walk us through step by step how to install ComfyUI on RunPod.io, how to install some of the different AI image generation models, as well as video generation models to get some amazing outputs that look like this. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We've got lots of content around ComfyUI, image, video generation, AI, automation, and much, much more. So we're going to come across to RunPod.io, which I'll include a link to in the description. The reason I've chosen this one, and there's many other ones out there, but it's one of the leading ones that's really recognized for being able to deploy serverless models for us to use. You can also directly integrate it with platforms like Hugging Face or Civit AI if you want to go through and generate lots and lots of different models. So as you can see here, lots and lots of information. They've got different types of products, use cases, and more. For pricing, it's going to be done based on the GPU we use, as well as the storage that we want. So what we want to do is come across to the main platform. We're going to press Get Started. We're going to choose that we want to launch a GPU environment, because as you can see in here, we've got ComfyUI. You'll do Continue. We're going to say that we want to use either PyTorch 2.8, which is really fantastic because we've got CUDA built in, which is going to help us manage some of our Python elements in the background. You can do ComfyUI this way as well, or you can go straight through to Stable Diffusion, depending on what you want. They've also got other templates, as you can see here, or we can go through to all of the templates down here, and they've got loads and loads of different ones, each with some already installed with some modules. So for example, if we come up to the top and you want ComfyUI and then Manager, as you can see here, they've got a couple that have already got them pre-installed for what you need. But we're going to come out of here today. Now, before we go through and set up ComfyUI, which is going to be the easiest one today, versus using PyTorch for maybe a more advanced workflow or incorporating VS Code, we need to add some credits to our account. So you want to come up to where we've got the add credit details. We can use card in here. They've also got the option to use link as well. So we're going to click on link. We'll add our email address in here. We're going to add a really small on there at the start. So I'd recommend just doing something like $10 to get you started. Also turn off auto enable pay, just because at the start where you're playing around with it, you want a lot of control. We're going to go to checkout and pay what we need to today. This is going to go through and then debit that amount onto our account to use in the future. So there we go. We've now got our $10 that we can use. So we're going to come back to our pod templates. Again, as mentioned, we're going to do the easiest and simplest way today using the ComfyUI directly. So you want to be able to run the biggest and best models. We're talking the 14 billion parameter, 2.2 model or more. Well, to be able to use it with our ComfyUI, first we're going to come down to storage. This is going to be what they call persistent storage. So what it means is any of the models that you download or any of the outputs that you generate are going to be stored on our drive, even if we turn that instance off, so that we can recall them in the future. Now, there's one really key thing when it comes to network storage, and that is that your size can go up, but it can't come down. So you need to keep that in mind when you're going through and actually setting up your account, because for example, if we're going to be using those big models, they can be, 60 gigabytes plus, which is going to cost us, as we can see here, $4 per month, but we can't come down once we turn that on. So always think about having a little bit of headroom, but not too much when you set up this instance. But for the demo today, because we want to use that big model, we're going to come all the way up to 100 gigabytes of storage. That's going to cost us around $7 per month. Now, what you'll see on the right-hand side here are all of the different GPUs. Now, the green bar denotes how available they are. So as you can see, we've got the RTX 4090 is readily available. Same with the GPU we're going to be using, which is the H200, but some of the other ones are a bit rarer depending on your region. Now, ideally, I want this as close to home as possible to help with the latency. But if you see when I select the H200, we've only got sort of North America, Canada, and Japan. Whereas if we come across to here, we can use Europe, which will be much closer to home. So that's why it's definitely worth looking at what your use case is going to be. If you don't need the biggest and powerfulest models, for example, you want to use an RTX 4090 or 5090, you've got more options for where you can store it. But we're going to go for that full top of the range one today, the H200 XM SMX. We're going to come down and do ComfyUI Home, and we're just going to up this actually to be 150 to make sure that we've got definitely enough storage for us to use it. I'm also going to choose the East Coast server, as we can see here, which should have all of the availability for us to be able to use it. So now I'm going to do create network volume. This is going to enable us to have that persistent storage over all of our models and outputs. Again, we're going to copy this, now come back up to our pod templates. What you'll find in here is you've got the official ones for us to use as mentioned, as well as the community different ones. So for example, if you wanted to auto install 2.1 and 2.2 with CUDA, you can use this one, but definitely keep an eye on what you're installing, the extra nodes, because of course it's community generated, not official. We're going to come down to ComfyUI. We're going to do deploy pod. We're going to make sure that we're using a secure cloud. You can go across to community, which is going to be cheaper, but it just depends on your use case. Again, secure cloud is still going to be relatively cheap at only around $3.60 per hour, or around 50-60 cents if you were to use the RTX 4090 and some of the cheaper models. We're going to connect our ComfyUI home storage so that we've got it for the future. We're going to choose the big GPU, the H2 SMX. We're going to come down here. We say that we only want one GPU and we're going to use it on demand. We're going to come down to deploy on demand. And now this means is we're only going to be paying for what we use. Whilst this is starting up, we're just going to change this to be ComfyUI and then home. We'll come out of there. And this is going to take a couple of minutes just to go through and set everything up for us. An oversimplification of what it's doing is we're essentially automatically downloading everything from GitHub that we need to be able to use. So it's setting up our ComfyUI, the core module that we want to use so that we can generate images and outputs like you can see here, as well as our ComfyUI manager. So we've got everything ready to go, make the auto updates that we need and much, much more. So as you can see here, it's come back in the background. We've got our Jupyter lab ready to go, ComfyUI and file browser. And whilst we wait for the ComfyUI to be set up, we're going to click on Jupyter lab. This is going to enable us to have almost back-end access to our instance, so we can go through and make the changes. Now, if we come into here, what we'll see is that we've got ComfyUI exactly the same way that you would have it downloaded on your computer. We can see if we come down to models, we've got all of the different locations to be able to store it as we need. And again, this means we're going to be paying for the usage of the GPU versus the pay per output on platforms like Replicate for the different videos. So it may be more expensive for those of you starting off and only generating a couple of images or videos here or there. But if you're starting to generate lots and lots and lots, or if you only need a lighter GPU, then you can still get some great outputs because you're charged per hour versus per output. So there we go. We're now all ready to load up ComfyUI. We're going to click into it and it will take us straight through. It's as simple as that to access your ComfyUI instance. So as we can see here, it's exactly the same as what we would have on our desktop instance. We can access all of the different image and video generation models like we can see here. We can also come down to video, and as you can see here, we've got all of the different ones. Now you're probably wondering, how do we install these? Well, if you were to click on text to video, for example, what you'll see in here is we've got all of the different files we need to download. What you need to keep in mind is if you press download, it's going to go to your local computer. It's not going to install it onto your ComfyUI RunPod instance. There's a couple of different ways that we can do it instead. So if you come out of here, if you've got a Civit AI API key, you can add that in here and import the models nice and easily. You can also come out of here, come up to Manager, so your ComfyUI Manager. We can install custom nodes, we can update it and more. And more importantly, we can come to the Model Manager, and as we can see here, we've now got them all ready to go to be able to install. The third way that you're going to do it, and one that I want to show you today, is if we come out of here and we come back across to the templates. What we're going to do instead is use our Jupyter interface. This is just my personal preference, but again, different ways for you to use. We're going to copy the URL here. We're going to come back across to our Jupyter area. Where then, as you can see here, we've got text encoders. So we're going to come down to text encoders. We're then going to press terminal. And the reason for choosing the folder on the left-hand side first is now because it's going to put us right into that specific folder. So now we can run the command w and then get, and then paste that URL and press enter. Now it's going to start going through and downloading that file for you, so you don't have to do it, the two-step way of downloading it onto your computer and then uploading it in here using the upload file instead. Just makes it a lot more efficient for us to be able to get that file ready to go as quick as possible. And as mentioned, if you wanted to use, Flux, for example, all you need to do is come down to the download file, copy the clean link, come back across to Jupyter. We'll do a new terminal link here. We can do W and then get and then space. Then all you need to do is get rid of $download equals true, press enter, and it will download it for you. So now you've got the ability to access all of the different models on Hugging Face, like you can see here, more or less to run on your own environment. So if we come to text to image, as you can see here, loads of different ones for us to be able to use. We can come down to where we've got text to video, we can use these, and if you've got Civit AI as well, you can import them nice and easily. We'll come back across to our workbook though, we'll get rid of this, and then as we can see here, it's downloaded that first one really quickly and easily. Now we're going to do the next one, so we want to come out of here. We're going to be doing the VAE next. So again, nice and easily, back up to models, down to VAE. I'm going to do a new terminal just because it makes it nice and easy to show you. W get URL and enter. That's going to go through and download it nice and quick. We'll come through, do diffusion models, copy, back across to diffusion models, open up a new terminal in here. Again, W and then get, paste to that URL in there, and now it's going to go through and download it. I'm going to go through and just get all of the rest ready to go, and then I'll see you on the other side. So there we go. We've now got all of the LoRa's downloaded. We've got both of our diffusion models ready to go, the VAE and the text encoder. So now if we come back into here, it will still say that it's missing at the moment. We're going to come out of here, back down to templates, back down to video, text to video, and then we should see that we don't get an error anymore. What we can also do on the left-hand side here is come down to models. We'll do refresh and load all models, and now we can see here that they're all ready to go for us to use. So now we can go through and start generating images and videos as quickly as that. We've got all of the different models loaded in, ready to go. If you've got multiple ones that you have imported, you'll be able to select between the different ones. As you can see here, if we wanted to use pixel space instead as the VAE, we could do that too. Just going to paste our prompt in here, which is say that we're going to have a lone samurai walking through a misty bamboo forest at dawn, shafts of golden light piercing through the fog, and the camera slowly tracking forwards, cinematic depth of field, and much, much more. I'm not going to change the negative prompt, but I definitely recommend you have a look at how you improve that to get an output that's incredibly good. We're going to come across to here, and then as you can see, we've got the K sampler. Now, what this does is help us control the output that we're going to get. We've got lots of other videos on the channel, as well as an in-depth masterclass in the community on how to change this. The key ones to keep in mind are your noise seed, because if you keep this the same number every single time, it's going to be more consistent for the output. The steps, this is also going to be the higher the number of steps, the higher the quality of the output, or likely should be, because then that means it's almost going from 720p to 1080 to 4K to 8K and so on and so forth. We can come down here, we can see the FPS. So what this means is because we've got the FPS at 16 and we've got the length at 81, we need to do 81 divided by 16. So it's going to be a 5-second video that we get back. We can also, as you see here, change the width and height for us to be able to get the output. So now, as you can see here, we're going to be able to generate the end result. All we need to do is come up to the top hand side and press run. What this is going to do is start loading in all of the different models for us. This will take a little while to go through the first time, just because it's loading everything in. And then every iteration after this, it's just going to load in that latest prompt and generate the output for you. So as you can see here, we're going through and I'll show you the output once it's generated. So there we go. And we've got that output back incredibly quickly. If I come down here, you'll see that we can do the 3 dots to be able to download it onto our computer, or we can just press play to see the output. So as we can see here, that's come back incredibly quickly, and I'm running a M1 MacBook, but as we've now got access to these virtual GPUs, it doesn't matter what computer you're on, what operating system, we can now all get amazing outputs. And again, we're running and being charged per hour of usage versus the number of outputs. So if we come back to the start here and we just give it another prompt, what we should see is that output comes through a lot quicker because we've already loaded in our different models. So if I do run, it should load in our new prompt that we've just given it. It's now loading up and actually developing the actual output that we want. And as we should see here, any second now, we're able to get that video outputted so that we can see it straight away. And if you're wondering where these are all stored, don't worry, I'm going to show you in a second. So there we go. Before I can even finish a sentence, we've got that video back. And as we can see here in the background, that looks incredibly realistic. So now we've got access to the biggest and best models without us having to have the best computer actually sat at our desk. We can also import all of the different models from Hugging Face so that we can use it as much as we want. Just to show you again, we'll come back to the start, press run. We're going to load in our new prompt. Again, I find this absolutely amazing that now we can get these outputs. Each one would have been $0.84 per second of output. So that would be 0.084 multiplied by 5. So each one would have been 42 cents per output. Now we can generate as many videos as we want, and we're only going to be charged the cost for our environment. If you want to see where that is, come down to details and you'll be able to see the cost on the right hand side here. And if we come back into here, what we should see is that output ready in the background here. We can do run. And as we can see, it's all ready to go nice and easily. But that's not all. Again, we can also run the different image models. So if we come down to image and we're going to come down here just to use, for example, we do Flux Schnell, as we can see there. We're going to load it up. It's going to say we're missing a model. We'll copy this, come back across to our Jupyter. We'll double check that it's a checkpoint. So we're going to come up to where we have models, terminal. We're going to do wget space, paste the link in there. Again, we're just going to get rid of this question mark download equals true at the end. We're going to send this off. It should install it. Looks like it's coming into our main area here. So we'll just move it up to our checkpoints in a minute. So there we go. In just under 2 minutes, we got all of it installed. For ease, we're just going to come across to here and pull it up to the checkpoint. So it's going to be stored in the right location. We're then going to come back across to our instance. It will still show that it's not got anything in there. But if we come across to our models, we do refresh and then download. What we should now see is, as we can see there, we've got Flux Schnell ready to go. This is going to be totally over the top for our H200 SXM model. But as we can see here, we can paste our prompt in there, do run, and now it's going to go through and generate the image for us. Again, it's still going to load it in a little bit longer that first time, but then it'll be able to go through and get us the output nice and easily. So there we go. As we can see, we've got that image back incredibly quickly, and that looks fantastic. And again, if we wanted to change it, so for example, just a tiger instead, we'll just do enter. We've already got that prompt ready to go, so it comes back even quicker for that output. And that's how we can now go through and use any of the different models that we want, from Hugging Face, Civic AI, or other ones out there. And we only pay for how much we're going to use the platform versus the cost of each output that we generate. Now you're probably wondering, well, how do I find these outputs? Well, we're going to come back across to my pods. We're going to be able to see here that we've got the file browser. If you can't remember your login, don't worry, it's down the bottom here. We're going to come back to connect, click on file browser. It's going to log us in straight away. We're going to come through to our ComfyUI, down to where we've got outputs. And there we go. We can see that we've got the 3 different images that we just generated. So 1, 2, and 3. We can also come back out of here, back up to video, and we've got video 1, video 2, and video 3. And the great thing is, if we come out of here back to our pods, is terminate the pod here. Because we've got our persistent storage in the background here, we're going to have all of our files and outputs saved in here. So now we're not going to be charged for it in the background because we're not using it. But if we reconnect our storage here, come down to that model again, the GPU again, the H200 SMX, we're going to connect our template again, which is ComfyUI. If you want to generate your own one with all of the different modules, add-ons, anything like that, you can do it in there nice and easily. We're going to use ComfyUI again though, do deploy on demand. This is going to spin it back up for us, so we're not being charged whilst we're not using it. Maybe spin it up once a week, generate lots of content, and then close it down. So there we go. We've got our entire instance spun up incredibly quickly. We're going to click on ComfyUI. It's going to load it up for us, and we should have everything ready to go straight away. So we'll come to the left-hand side. We're going to come down to video. We'll do the 14 billion parameter model, the same as before. And as you can see, we don't get an error code in the background for missing modules because we've got our persistent storage, so we can recall it as we need. And that's the great thing about RunPod.io, is we can go through and use it as much as we want for the greatest and biggest GPUs, no matter how bad or how limited our actual computer is. And that's how you can quickly get set up with ComfyUI. There's so many different fine-tuning and customizations that you can do with this. Make sure to come across to the community. We've got lots around AI and automation. And as always, stay tuned for more and have a great day.